Hello everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to start another 24-hour readathon vlog. I am so excited. I did one of these back in July and I've just been dying to do another one of these because I have quite the stack of books that I physically own that I just want to get to ASAP, and so I thought doing a 24-hour readathon would be the perfect time to do so. So it's just about like 8:40 p.m. on Saturday night. So I think I'm gonna start this right at 9 p.m. and then keep this going until 9 p.m. tomorrow night. So let me show you this stack of books that I want to work on in the next 24 hours. We've got quite a lot of different kinds of books going on. So pretty much right when this readathon starts, I have 2 volumes of manga that I really want to get to. First of all is Spy Family Volume 4. I think you guys know this is one of my latest manga and anime obsessions. I love the anime adaptation. I highly recommend checking it out for yourselves. It is on Hulu and I'm sure Crunchyroll and other things like that. But I'll get more into the plot of this after I read this volume, but I'm absolutely obsessed. It's basically like a fake / found family story, and this volume is going to be about how Twilight, Anya, and Yor adopt this big old fluffy dog here, and yeah, I can't wait. And then I'm so excited to read the next omnibus that I have of Full Metal Alchemist. So this is an omnibus of volumes 4, 5, and 6. This is another manga and anime that I have been absolutely obsessed with, but I can't watch any more of the anime until I read more of the manga. So yes, I am so pumped to get back into this story. I am obsessed with Edward and Alphonse Elric. And once again, I'll get more into the plot after I read this omnibus. So after that, I have a couple of romance novels here that I have audiobooks for, because I'm definitely going to need an audiobook because I'm planning on mowing the lawn in the morning. So I've got a choice of a couple different books here. I have The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller. This is a gothic romance. It's also a Gilded Age romance where we have our main character. This takes place in 1875 specifically. She comes back to New York after her husband suddenly dies, and she is trying to refurbish this dilapidated Hyde Park mansion. And then we have the hero. His name is Samuel Moore. He is a scientist, he's a professor, and I've heard that he is just like the sweetest cinnamon roll hero of all time. So very excited about this one, and it just sounds like it's gonna be like the perfect historical romance to read in October because it has those gothic vibes to it. I think there's literally some ghosts and here, some spooks going on, so very excited about that. And then another audiobook that I have is for Moonstruck by Onley James. This is book 3 in her Necessary Evil series. This is an MM serial killer romance series where we have the Mulvaney brothers. They are, it's a found family, another found family going on, and they were all adopted by this scientist, this psychiatrist. And they're all vigilante serial killers basically, but once again, I'll get more into the plot of this specific book when I actually start it. Then I have a couple of other graphic novels and manga. First up, we have volume 1 of Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I think I'll absolutely fly through this volume because there's not much text on any given page. It's mainly just like pictures. So I'll definitely fly through this one, and it's just adorable. It says boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. You know, just a simple YA romance story that was adapted into a series on Netflix. So very excited to read the graphic novels first and then check out that adaptation. Then for something completely different from that, we have volume 2 of the Black edition of Death Note. So this is containing volumes 3 and 4 of the manga. This is just such an intriguing series, very dark, very twisted for sure. But I really loved volumes 1 and 2, so I think I'm gonna really enjoy these next couple of volumes. And then last but not least, we have A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is book 3 in the ACOTAR series, which I'm sure most of you are very familiar with. But I was kind of supposed to read this in September for the SJM along that Jen from the Book Refuge organized, but I didn't get to it in September. So I definitely want to get to it this month. The first 2 parts of the graphic audiobook is now out. So I have those borrowed from Hoopla, and then for the last third of the book, I'll just switch to the regular audiobook, and that's totally fine with me. But yeah, I'm excited to reread this final book of the first trilogy of the series for sure. So as you guys can tell, I've got quite a bit of like different kinds of books going on, just so that I don't get burnt out or anything like that. But I'm definitely gonna start out with Spy Family and Full Metal Alchemist. So it is almost 2:30 a.m. and I have been working my way through these 3 books. So I did read volume 4 of Spy Family. I gave this 5 stars. This series really just gets better and better with each volume. And this volume in particular was like, oh my God, so action-packed. Like, a good like 80% of this volume had to do with one of Twilight's missions in particular, and how like everything just kind of went to shit for like all the main characters. And through that mission is how the family meets this big fluffy doggo here. And by the end of the volume, they officially adopt him and named him Bond, after Bond Man, who is the main character of this spy cartoon that Anya loves. So I am just obsessed with the fact that the Forger family now has a dog, as if this series couldn't get any cuter, really. And I know I've been talking about this series a lot recently on my channel, but just in case you don't know what Spy Family is about, we have Twilight. He is a pretty amazing spy. He's probably one of the best in his agency that he works for. And his mission is to get married and have a kid. So in volume 1, we see that he has a marriage of convenience with this woman, Yor, who is secretly an assassin. And then he adopts this little girl named Anya, who is secretly a telepath. So they are all keeping these really big secrets from each other for sure. And if that wasn't enough, let's just say the dog also has a superpower. So yeah, this series is definitely kind of ridiculous, but so much fun. It's cute and cozy, yet epic. And like I said, this volume in particular was just so action-packed. So I am obsessed. I am definitely gonna read volume 5 very soon. And then I started this omnibus of Full Metal Alchemist. I read the entirety of volume 4. Like I said, this is a bind up of volumes 4, 5, and 6. So I don't think I'm going to finish this whole bind up over the course of these 24 hours, just because this series, like each volume packs quite the punch. Both plot-wise, there's a lot that happens in each volume, but also just like emotionally, whoo boy, a lot happens in each volume. And in this volume in particular, I was not ready, I was not prepared. I don't want to spoil exactly what happens, but what I will say is there is a character that I got attached to and they end up dying in this volume. And so now I know that I can't trust you, Hiromu Arakawa, who is the author of this manga series. I can't trust her. Now I know she's gonna keep getting me attached to characters and killing them off. I really hope that she doesn't kill off too many people, but you never know with a series like this. And if you don't know what Full Metal Alchemist is about, though I know this is a very, very, very popular manga and anime series, we have Edward and Alphonse Elric. They're brothers. They are alchemists, of course. And when they were pretty young, their mother passed away and they tried to use alchemy to bring her back. But one of the taboos in alchemy is that you should never try to transmute humans. And so that ritual goes horribly wrong to the point where Alphonse loses his entire body and his soul gets bonded to a suit of armor. Edward is the one that bonds his soul, even though he doesn't really mean to. That's just what happens in his desperation. And then Edward ends up losing both his leg and his arm. And so now Edward is an alchemist for the government of the country that they live in. And these brothers are just trying to figure out a way to get their bodies back to normal. And this just is an incredible story. Like, I can't help but give every volume I've read so far 5 stars. So I'm actually getting ready to take a break from reading, but I do want to watch a couple of episodes from both of these anime series. So Spy Family, they recently started releasing new episodes of like part 2 of season 1. So I believe there's 2 new episodes out now. Definitely at least 1, but there might be another one out because they've been coming out weekly. And then I'm gonna watch at least an episode of Full Metal Alchemist. Now that I've read an entire other volume of the series, I feel confident that I can watch a few more episodes, but I'll probably just watch an episode of each and then dive back into reading. And so what I'm currently working on is The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller. This is quite a different story from these manga series, but this is a historical romance, kind of a Gilded Age historical romance, I would say. It takes place in 1875. And I know I explained the plot a little bit, but Alva is a widow, and her husband, Elaine, was definitely abusive to her. And it seems that he passed away under kind of mysterious circumstances. Maybe she had something to do with it. We don't really know. And so we have Professor Samuel Moore, who approaches Alva because Alva has purchased this dilapidated mansion that is known to be haunted. And he is someone that is trying to investigate ghosts. He's trying to see if there is a scientific basis behind them. He seems to be one of the very few people that's actually trying to research ghosts. I'm sure that most people think that he is like nuts for doing this. And so he's been hearing all these different ghost stories, and so he approached Alva to see if she would let him come into the mansion and investigate it for himself. And also Sam is one of those like sweet and sunshiny cinnamon roll heroes, some of my absolute favorite kinds of romance heroes. And Alva is definitely kind of grumpy, kind of icy, but she's been through a lot because of her abusive husband. So it's understandable, and I just love that dynamic in my romance novels. So I'm very much looking forward to continuing on with this. I'm right now on page 103, that is chapter 9. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for my thoughts for now. Also, before I forget, I recently got this freaking adorable shirt. It says "Ghosting You for Romance Books." I'm gonna link the artist's Etsy shop down in the description below, but their name is Books Are Better Than Reality. That is also their name on Instagram. If you're curious, I'll also link their Instagram down below. But I'm obsessed with this, and I love the pink color, and it's just the perfect t-shirt for romance readers for fall. So yeah, I'm gonna go watch a couple episodes of anime, and then I will jump back into The Widow of Rose House. So it is almost 1:45 p.m. on Sunday. So I have finished 2 books since I last updated. Basically, I stayed up till probably, I think almost 6 a.m. And then I took a nice little nap from about then to I think I woke up at 11. And then I have been working my way through the rest of The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller since then. But last night, before I went to sleep, I read the entirety of Heartstopper, Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. This was a very quick read. There's, you know, very little text on any given page, and this is just a really cute YA friends to lovers story about Nick and Charlie. And in this first volume, it's really just the 2 of them becoming friends, and by the end maybe something more, but maybe not. We'll have to see in the next volume. But this was just adorable. I really like the art style. I feel like it fits the story really well. Really adorable. It does have fall vibes because of like the back to school thing, and there's like a lot of like leaves, like autumn leaves, kind of like weaved throughout the story. So yeah, adorable. Don't have much more to say about that one. Then, like I said, I finished The Widow of Rose House just a few minutes ago. I really enjoyed this. Like, I keep flip-flopping whether, do I want to give this 5 stars? It's definitely at least like a 4.5 star. I really, really liked this, guys. This is a really fantastic gothic historical romance, which is perfect to read for this time of year. Like, seriously, I can't recommend this highly enough if you're looking for a historical to read right now. But, okay, Sam, our hero, swoon. Oh my God, like, I can see why so many people were recommending this book just for the hero. Like, wow, the things that he says to Alva, the way he treats her, the way he loves her, and he falls completely head over heels for her first. And she's definitely reluctant to falling for him, and for very good reason, because of things, traumatic things of her past with her first husband. But man, I am a sucker for a sunshiny and charming scientist hero who can't help but fall for the heroine and just love her unconditionally and just be endlessly supportive of her. Like, he is truly, truly perfection. Love him so much. And I also think that this romance was balanced really well with the gothic spookiness, because we have this house that Alva is trying to flip, basically to renovate, and there are a lot of ghost stories floating around this house. A lot of people have experienced hauntings, and so while there is this very swoon-worthy romance going on, Alva and Sam are both investigating the house in terms of the hauntings that may or may not be going on. So things definitely get spooky. This is definitely a ghost story as well. It also just feels very unique in comparison to other historical romances, even other like Gilded Age romances, because that is the era that this takes place in, and it does take place in New York. Yeah, it just has a very unique feel to it, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, finished that. So I definitely need to go eat a late lunch now since it's almost 2 p.m. What I want to read next. So I don't think I'm gonna start ACOWAR today. I do want to start it soon, but I don't think I'm gonna be in the mood to start that today. So now I have this little stack here. I could definitely continue on with this omnibus of Full Metal Alchemist, but I don't know, man. That last volume took a lot out of me emotionally. I don't know if I'm ready to jump back in just yet. So we have that. I think I might jump into this volume of Death Note. I most likely won't finish this whole bind up today, but I might, you know, just read a good chunk of it or maybe like read the first volume of this, like the first half of this. I don't know, not really sure. And then I also have Moonstruck. I do really love this series though, so I don't know. Maybe I'll jump into this, and I do have the audiobook. Also, it's really cool. I love the pages at the beginning of all the chapters. It just says Pride over and over again. That looks really cool. That is a really cool design. So I don't know. I just don't know. We'll have to see what I'm in the mood for after I eat some lunch. So it is just about 7 p.m. and I am calling this 24-hour readathon 2 hours early. That tends to be the usual with me whenever I do these kinds of readathons, because it's like, let's face it, you know, trying to read as much as possible in 24 hours is a lot, even for someone like me who is absolutely obsessed with reading. You know, there's just a point where my brain just kind of shuts down for the day, basically. But since I last updated you guys, I have been working my way through 3 things. So with Full Metal Alchemist, I am now halfway through volume 5. So the second volume in this omnibus. I really like where the story is going. I am just obsessed, still devastated from how volume 4 ended, but my heart will heal eventually. But yeah, really loving this, of course. And then I did start volume 2 of the Black edition of Death Note. I am on page, let's see, I think this is page like 113. As you can see, I'm about like, I would say like 25% of the way through this bind up. By the way, if you don't know the basic premise of this, this is about Light Yagami, who's just a normal teenage boy, and he comes across this notebook, which is a death note. Death notes are notebooks that Shinigami, or gods of death, have, and they use them to, I guess, control the human population. But this Shinigami in particular left his death note on purpose on Earth to see who would pick it up, and Light just happened to see it and pick it up, and he's been using it a lot to basically just kill all kinds of criminals. But the police are definitely on to him. I mean, they don't know that it's him specifically, but they're on to this person who seems to be killing people or making people have heart attacks and things like that. So, you know, so far of what I've read of this volume is more of just kind of this cat and mouse game that Light is playing with the Japanese police. It's a very enjoyable series. It definitely makes you think. It kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. On the one hand, you're kind of rooting for Light so that he won't get caught by the police, but on the one hand, you're rooting for the police because Light is murdering all of these people. So it's just a very intriguing series, and I'm definitely looking forward to finishing this bind up and just continuing on with the series as a whole. And then I did decide to go ahead and start my reread of ACOWAR. I am on page 99 exactly. That is chapter 11. That's also the beginning of part 2, which is called Cursebreaker. I don't feel like I need to summarize this series at all. This is a very, very popular new adult fantasy series. But this is the last book of, I would say, like the first trilogy of the series. I'm just enjoying my reread for sure. It's always interesting rereading big fantasy books like this because I tend to forget a lot of what happened. I mean, I haven't read this book since 2020, so not that long ago. But yeah, I mean, I do remember some things not so much. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really enjoying rereading Sarah J. Maas's books. I mean, she is one of my favorite authors after all. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue trucking along with this reread over the next few days. Let me just go ahead and quickly wrap up everything that I read for this readathon. We have volume 4 of Spy Family. Love this series with my whole heart. Obviously gave that 5 stars. I have The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller. I think I'm gonna settle on 4.5 stars. I don't think that it's quite a 5-star read for me, and I'm not sure why, because there's a lot of things that I loved in this book, but it just didn't give me that 5-star feeling. There's a feeling that I get when I'm reading a 5-star book. It's a vibe thing. I don't know. I can't put that into words, but yeah. So I think I'm settling on 4.5 stars for that. Heartstopper gave 4 stars. Definitely looking forward to continuing on with the series at some point. It's not going to be like on my immediate TBR just because I don't know. I feel like I'm not really in the target demographic for this series. This is definitely a YA series, definitely written for younger audiences. And as much as I'm appreciating it, it's not a series that I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to read the next volume. You know, it's just like maybe every now and then I'll squeeze a volume into my TBR, right? And then of course, we talked about ACOWAR. And then I read volume 4 and I'm halfway through volume 5 of Fullmetal Alchemist, and then I'm like halfway through volume 3 of Death Note. So yeah, this is everything. I'm gonna stack everything up real quick so that you guys can see. This is everything that I was working on for this readathon. I am very happy about all the reading that I got done, and I decided to calculate the pages, the amount of pages that I read this time around. And after adding up all the pages that I read just about 1,300 pages in 24 hours, and I am very happy with that number for sure. But I am kind of burnt out. My brain is kind of shutting down on me. So I think I'm gonna go chill out, and I'm probably gonna be done with reading for the rest of tonight, even though it's only 7 o'clock. But yeah, this was a very successful 24-hour readathon. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below if you want to discuss any of the books or the series that I brought up. And I would also love it if you would leave a like and subscribe. And I thank you so much in advance if you do. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.